In this tutorial, we're going to create an Andy Warhol inspired pop art. Your first pop art will look something similar to what's on the screen here with the Coke cans. The big thing about this is that you will want to make sure that you use nice bright colors that have a high contrast with each other, like the turquoise and the orange and the pink and the green. The first step that you'll do is go find the Coke can image. So open up your internet and just look for image of Coke can. And you'll want to look for one that just has a white background. So we'll click on images. And this one works. So I'm going to click on it and make it larger. Let it go ahead and load all the way. Right click, save image as. Make sure you name it if it isn't already. This one's already named Coke can and it's on my desktop, so I'm going to save. And then I'm going to go to Photoshop and open up my Coke can. So I'll go to File, Open, and find the Coke can. And there's my image ready to turn black and white. Now the first thing that we need to do is duplicate this layer, because if you come right over here and notice there is nothing else on here except for that layer. If we tried to cut out the white background, it would not work. So we are going to come right over here and click and drag it down to the new layer button. It's right there next to the trash can. And now you'll see you have two of these. We're going to take the eye off the bottom one and just work with the top layers. Now we're going to take the white background off. So we'll come over and get our magic wand and just click, and it's a nice good outline. So we'll hit delete and you should see a checkerboard background. That means that this layer is actually see-through and the only thing that's on it is the Coke can. So now I can press Control D to get rid of the marching lines, and now we just have a Coke can by itself. Now we're going to use a few of these, so I'm going to go ahead and come back over here to my layers and I'm going to click and drag to the new layer tab and get a couple of those. I'm going to turn the eyes off the top ones and then click on the first one that's cut out, and that's the one that we're going to start with our adjustment layer. Now to turn this black and white, we're going to use what's called an adjustment layer, and to find that you come right down here to the circle that's half black, half white, and then select threshold. So what this does at first is just put a layer over our Coke can. We will adjust how dark we want this and then we will merge those. So if you come right up here, we have our levels for the Coke can. And the first thing that I want to do is to make sure that I have a white outline on all of these. And I don't know about you guys, but I can't see that very well. So I'm going to come right down here, back to my new layer, and put that new layer underneath my Coke can, and then I'm just going to get just any color, probably a simple color is best. So here's green. So now I can see the outline of my Coke can. Well, I want to make it a little bit better, so I'm going to go right back here. So here I am at my threshold layer. I'm going to click on it and play around with the slider until it is outlined in white. So look around here, you can see the whole Coke can is outlined in white. So now I'm going to click on both of these layers, the threshold one and the background copy. I'm going to hold down Control so that they're both highlighted. Right click and merge layers. So now those two layers are one, and it's named threshold 1. Well, I'm not going to remember what that is, so I'm going to double click on the words and name this outline. So I know it's the outline of my Coke can. Now I'll turn on my next layer and click on it, go back to my threshold, and on this one I want to make sure that I can see all of the Coca-Cola and this part at the bottom, so it doesn't look like one just big thing. I want to be able to see that little rim right there. So I'm going to kind of play around with how I want that bottom to look. And then we have our Coca-Cola. Perfect. So again, I will click on both of the layers, right click and merge. And I'm going to rename this bottom of can and Coke for the words. Now what I want to do is I want to erase the sides of this top layer so that I can see the outline a little bit better. So I will turn those eyes back on and get my eraser. And I'm going to make it fairly small, and I do want it to be fuzzy. So you're going to choose the one that's kind of fuzzy on the outside. And I also make it pretty see-through. So right now I'm at 32% opacity. So then I come right along here and I'm just going to click on the side of my Coke can so that I can see just a little bit better outline. Leave that part. Okay, so the Coke can looks good for what we want to do. So I don't need this top layer. I'm going to delete that. And then we want to merge these two layers together. So again, I'll hold down Control, right click, and merge layers. Now if I turn that off, I have one Coke can all by itself ready to go. So I can delete my background layer and put the one Coke can onto a canvas and then duplicate it. So I'm going to open a new canvas, File, New, and for this one we're going to do 8 inches wide, 8 inches high, and just a resolution of 72. I'm making this square so it's easy to divide up the canvas. So I hit OK, and here we have our clear canvas. Now if you don't already have your rulers on, go ahead and go up to View and Rulers, and then you'll see these rulers on the side. The rulers are good for guidelines. If you click on the top of the ruler and drag down, you'll get this turquoise line. And if you're doing a horizontal line, you'll look right over here to see the measurement. So I'm going to click on the line and bring that down to 4. So if you look right here, it's on 4. And then now I need a vertical one. So I'm going to click on the ruler again and bring it over to 4. So here we have 4 and 4. So we have 4 equal squares now. This is the point where it gets a little bit more fun and we get to start adding some color. I need to fill each square in with a different color. I'm going to use the rectangular marquee to do that, and that's our second tool right here. And what I do is I come out, I start out here where there isn't anything, and then I click and I drag, and with your rulers your marquee will kind of jump to your guideline there. So you just click and drag and then let go. And remember, we want nice bright colors. So I have a bright turquoise ready, and I'm going to go to my paint bucket and paint that. Then hit Control D, go back to your marquee, come out here to the edge, click and drag. Next, Control D, do the same thing for each square. So I'm just selecting new colors. And painting. So now I have my 4 colors that I'm going to use, and I can go ahead and take those guidelines off by going View and Clear Guides, and so now those are off. Now we want our Coke can to come in here. So we are going to go up to the top where it says Coke can, and you are going to click and drag that down. So now you should have your Coke can on top of your 4 squares of color. You're going to come right over here to the Layers palette, click on your layer, and drag it onto your document with your 4 things of color. So once I let go, now my Coke can is in my color document, and I can close this one out. You can save that or not. I'm going to go ahead and hit yes. just in case. Okay, so now we have our Coke can over here, and I'm going to take my move tool and put this one kind of in the middle here, duplicate that, and we want this one right above it, and just kind of center it in your area there. And then what you can do is hold down Control and get both of these, take it down to the new layer, and bring them over, and keep them even on your page. So now we have all four, and this part's pretty easy. What you want to do is alternate the colors. Since this one is blue, you're going to do the opposite color of orange. So I'm going to click on that Coke can to make sure that that layer is selected. Then I need this orange color, so I'm going to go to my eyedropper tool, which is this one right here. It looks to me like one of those things that you use for medicine, but it's the eyedropper tool. So you click on that, and then you click on the orange, and it matches your orange color. So then I go to my paint bucket, and I click, and I start painting my Coke can. All of the white areas are going to be your new color, and if there is one that you need to get closer, you just hit Control plus to get in here for this classic. Oops. If you accidentally do that, make sure you do Control Z to undo, and then make sure that the very tip of your paint bucket gets right there in the white. Here we go. And then up at the top. I actually think I'm going to undo that, and I'm going to keep that white. So here we have that one done. Now I'm going to go over to the orange, and I'm going to go back to my eyedropper, color match, click on that Coke can, get my paint bucket, and then fill this with my blue color. Okay, next we have our pink one that needs to be filled with green, so color match with green. Click on your paint can to make sure you have the right one. Click on your paint bucket and start painting. Oops. Down. Okay, now the last one is my pink. Click on my Coke can, get my paint bucket, paint, paint. The biggest thing is to not panic. If you paint something that you're not supposed to, make sure you hold down Control and Z to go back one step, and Control Alt Z to go back more than one step. So now we have our pop art all finished, and you're going to save that as a JPEG on your desktop.